Hi, I'm Cindy Abbott Letro, and this is Behind the Camera. And today we're going to focus on really sort of a unique filmmaker. I guess not so unique because he's been doing this since he was about 18 years old. But Adrian Esposito is our guest. And he is someone that is on the spectrum, who at one time they said you had Asperger's, but you have a form of autism. But you've been a very successful filmmaker. You have quite a catalog of projects that you're involved in. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about how did you decide to do this, and how were you able to do this, to be able to complete, you know, different films? I mean, many of your films have been shown around the world at different festivals, so that you have actually gotten some traction. And maybe just tell a little bit of your story.
Well, I've always been interested in being a filmmaker since I was 8 or 10 years old at a young age, Cindy.
Oh, wow.
What inspired me to become a filmmaker was The Nutty Professor, but with Jerry Lewis, and also George Romero, you know, his Dead trilogy, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and especially Dawn of the Dead at the shopping mall. And it's like after seeing those three movies, actually, well, four, I should say. That was like that. This is it. This is what I really want to do. I want to learn special makeup effects, because I went to the library, you know, before the internet, and I used to get make the special effects books, and want to learn more about this industry and this craft and this art. So I would do that, and eventually I realized, well, when I started out, I realized, because this was very early on, before computers and stuff, you know, with editing started taking off, especially Kickstarter and Indiegogo, I said, I really need to start small. So,
but one of the things, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I was just thinking what's great is that you thought that people with special needs should be able not only to work in the industry, right, as yourself, but to be actually featured in films.
Yes, that came later on. I decided, since I work with people with disabilities through disability agencies, I thought, and I'm also a self-advocate for people with disabilities, advocating for their rights and going to the meetings and the conferences in the past, I said to myself, this is how I'm going to advocate for people with disabilities. I need to showcase them in films that otherwise they wouldn't be showcased in, because, you know, Cindy, let's face it, most of the films and shows besides American Horror Stories don't really show people with Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, or you know, autism in action movies, horror movies, movies like Trauma, because, you know, they feel that it's not appropriate for them because of that stigma, you know, that's...
Well, and in fact, the movie that you're really in the process of raising some money for it's called Special Needs Revolt. Is that it? And tell me a little about that, because you have a whole cast of characters that are all people with disabilities, and that's sort of the theme of the movie.
Yeah, Special Needs Revolt came to me back in 2016. I wrote a first draft of the script, not many pages, but when I teamed up with Bill Whedon, who is an actor, he's a Shakespearean actor, he's done films in the past. I actually met him on the set of a documentary I was interviewing him for about trauma entertainment called Greetings from Traumaville. But I teamed up with him to write this script. He saw the first draft and loved it, and he wanted to expand the script so it's more pages to make it a feature film.
Oh, wow.
So, and basically what that film is about, you know, if I may say,
sure,
the Special Needs Revolt, it's about a man with Down syndrome, young man, who, after an accident at his group home, you know, winds up in a 2 or 3 year coma. And when he wakes up, you know, he finds out that the world's been kind of, you know, turned into a brutal dictatorship thanks to this evil politician, okay, President Kruger, who's put all people with disabilities back into these, like, institutions called concentration institutions. So with a ragtag group of freedom fighters, he decides to save the day, and end Kruger's reign of terror. So.
Oh, wow. Well, now, raising money, of course, is part of being a filmmaker. How difficult is that, and how do you reach out to put all of that together? Because this is a special audience, right?
Well, it's been proving difficult because it's the month of January, but I do have two places where people can go if they're interested to contribute the financing for. Indiegogo, where they can contribute for a perk or whatever amount they want. It doesn't have to be a perk they can contribute to. They can contribute any amount. Or Fractured Atlas, which is tax deductible and a 501c3. I hope I'm saying that right.
I think you are.
And
and I was just going to back you up a little bit, because one of the things when you met the person that's helping you on this film was sort of because you were doing a documentary on Buffalo and filmmaking. So you've gone, you have such a varied array of things that you're involved in. How have you come to Buffalo, and why a documentary on Buffalo?
Well, I wanted to do a documentary on Buffalo to not only help Buffalo, the filmmaking community in Buffalo and in the industry in Buffalo, but also to show, because I'm from Rochester, as I don't know if I mentioned this already, I'm originally, I'm from Rochester, grew up there my whole life, but there is a small filmmaking community, but it's not like it is in Buffalo. And I think by making this documentary, it will help inspire and motivate more people, not only in my hometown of Rochester, New York, but in other places, not only in New York State, but all over the country, that hey, we can, if we put our work efforts together, team up, chip in money, we can make our own films. We don't have to rely on Hollywood to come out with the next big blockbuster. And we can do films the way we would like to do them and try to get them out there to the public on Tubi TV and so forth. And I feel that this documentary hopefully will help inspire and motivate people to do that, and show people that, that we have it within ourselves to be our own Nickel City, our own tinsel towns in our cities.
Talk to me a little bit about how your mom has helped you with this, because I think that, what you decided at a young age was that you wanted to be a filmmaker. And that's hard enough for a person that is,
Right.
doesn't have a disability. But for you, it I think could be harder.
Yeah, my mom, she has been a big supporter and a big support in my life, and really helped my career and helped me be who I am today as a filmmaker. If there was a Nobel Peace Prize or an award to give for a Mother of the Year, for someone with a disability, it should go to her.
Well, that's a wonderful thing to say, and I'm sure that she probably is very, very proud of you.
Yeah.
What for you, if you wanted to say that, like you had reached the peak of accomplishment, what would be sort of what you would want to do? I mean, if you can take your filmmaking and do exactly what you want to do, what would make you the happiest?
What would make me the happiest, I would say, would be if I could just be able to get the financing for bigger budget films to do with the films I would like to do, because even with Special Needs Revolt, to be honest, it's been a big struggle to get the financing. But I just really hope I have a whole bunch of other scripts and ideas for movies I want to do. It just, as you know, Cindy, getting the financing, there's no guarantees. Even with people have told me in emails and texts and stuff, sign up for a grant. Go for grants, but grants, there's no guarantees with a grant. That you might be just flushing your, that effort and grant, the money you put into writing a grant down the drain, you know.
I wondered, have people without disabilities that are filmmakers been helpful to you? Have they encouraged you? Have they said, welcome you in to be part of this community? What's happening? I have a feeling, I know the answer because you're doing a documentary on filmmaking in Buffalo, but I just wondered if that has been helpful.
Oh, well, I feel that the one person with a disability who inspired, who really motivated me and helped me make this movie Special Needs Revolt and, motivated me to do that would be Lawrence Carter Long. In the documentary I did, Diffability Hollywood, he said that he was talking about a film that was about sort of like an action hero, anti-hero with a disability who had no legs, called The Amazing Mr. No Legs. That was 1979, 1980 exploitation film, action film, and he was in a wheelchair and he had like guns. He slid the arms back and had these shotgun barrels, and he was sort of like the first action hero. And also he talked about the Crippled Masters, which were real people with disabilities. It was a kung fu movie, and they were real people with disabilities that were the characters and fought with kung fu on the screen. And he was saying to me in the interview, and I have it in the documentary if anyone wants to see it, that it's time that that people see a person with a disability as action hero. We need to see these types of people on the screen as action heroes, not just what we've been seeing, which is Hallmark family-friendly films. So
it's very interesting, and I just encourage you to keep going and doing what you're doing. Adrian, you're an inspiration for all of us. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck to you. Adrian Esposito, and that's it for this episode of Behind the Camera.